Right, Daniel, expert in food and nutrition. He's one of the top guys in the world. Right now, you're on our podcast, so we're going to claim that you are. Anyway, okay.
Right, you said it.
We said it, yeah. The question on everybody's lips is chicken rolls. Are they good for you? Now, the answer to this question is obviously huge for how the rest of the interview is going to go.
Right, chicken rolls. Are you talking now about Mace? Now you go into the deli counter and you get a chicken roll.
Yeah.
This is what every student up and down Ireland has been
living on.
They wouldn't be great. Like they wouldn't be great. And like it's not that there's anything particularly wrong with the roll on itself, and it's just that when you start layering on the coleslaw and you start putting in the processed ham and the breaded chicken, it's not a particularly nourishing meal. No. Even
though it is a particularly delicious meal. Okay.
I know. Would you toast your own? You would?
Yeah, like...
Toast my own what?
The roll.
I wouldn't toast the roll.
No. Did you not see when they put the
panini.
Oh, I suppose that's more the panini. Yeah.
No, like with the chicken roll, that's stuff breaks my heart now. Do you know what? I knew it wasn't nutritious. I knew it was bad for me.
Deep down,
but...
Okay, the roll. White bread, brown bread. Is there a big difference?
I think the difference is probably overstated a little bit. I mean, brown bread, more fibre, you're going to get more nutrients, and you're going to kind of have more consistent energy levels. So it is a better option, but I think, an odd slice of white bread is not going to kill you now either.
I heard a myth that white bread holds more water. So if you were to eat like white bread and then like you'd look flumpier. If you get what I'm trying to bloat it. Well, is that true, or is some fella telling me lies?
Well, this is the thing. We could be over and back with all of the myths and everything that within nutrition. What it does, I suppose, is it's pure carbohydrate, and when you eat a pure carbohydrate, that will be stored as energy, and that energy retains water. But that's that can happen with pasta. That can happen with other carbohydrate sources too. Okay,
so we go into the deli.
Yes.
In the garage or the shop, whatever. What do you recommend we get? What's the healthiest thing to get?
For the man in the van or fellas constantly up and down the country.
Yeah, like I actually, when I'm doing talks and stuff like that, I actually say you're better off not eating where you get the petrol and the diesel. Like that's like the fuel is for the car. It's
not for the body.
Not for the body. No. Now, having said that, we all can get like if you're going in and you're going to get a coffee, we'll probably get onto it a little bit later on, but you're looking to you're filling a gap.
Yeah.
You're not looking to get half the day's energy. It's not you're not going in for the dinner. So, I mean, if you can get a small protein bar, protein bars are not particularly ideal either, but at least it's not a chocolate bar, cup of coffee. I mean, nobody wants me to tell them stick to the fruit and the packet of nuts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a bag of popcorn and a protein bar to fill the gap.
Until you can get something
something decent.
What about we're big men for wraps. You're breaking our hearts here now.
I know. Jesus, could you give me something easy to start with?
These are the tough questions. This is like prime time investigates now. If I go in and I get a wrap, right? We're trying to be good here now. We might get an old brown wrap or something.
Yeah.
And then we might get the bit of chicken.
Yes.
Cold chicken.
Cold chicken. No, not battered or nothing.
Yeah.
And then we might get the lettuce and the sweet corn and all that, and maybe a little bit of mayo. Like, I mean,
we can work with that.
Yeah, that's okay.
We can work with that. Yeah.
That gets
we get you through. Yeah.
We get the thumbs up.
Yeah. And I think probably you've probably got the answer there yourself. It's not going to where the stuff has been pre-prepped, and it's not going for a big roll or the Subway. And in fairness, like, an awful lot of the places have improved so much better. Yeah. Like there's a place out in on the way home, and I'm going home to Sligo now, and they've got Freshie. And Freshie, you can go in and get a burrito bowl and
chopped all these things.
It is getting easier, but I think the mindset is important.
Yeah, well,
you'll be brave man to eat one of them down the country now. I'll tell you.
Freshie, there's some fella awfully going, what?
Are you one of them? Yeah, I didn't think you'd be like that.
But like, that's the thing. I think it's the mindset. Do you think people's mindset has changed over time? Like, I think in Ireland now we're a lot more health conscious of what we actually put into our bodies, rather than fucking 10 years ago a fella eat and just feel full. Like,
I'll try and I suppose simplify this as much as I can. I think what we have is we have some members of the population in certain areas becoming almost obsessed about nutrition, right? Yeah. So there is a greater awareness of nutrition, but then in other areas there isn't. You know, there's certain parts of the of population in areas where it is still Coke and crisps and toast and cheap cereals. So I think what we're actually having is a widening of what's actually happening on the ground between good and bad, and it's getting more and more like the States. Yeah. But I mean, you know, Dublin and Wicklow and Cork and Galway, nice coffee shops and places to eat are popping up, and that's what we're seeing in social media. Yeah. But often the reality of it is that the practice in our homes is not where it needs to be.
We've got a whole bunch of things we want to ask you about, and one of them is a big trend we're hearing a lot about, and me and Smacks are like, what is this intermittent fasting?
Okay, so intermittent fasting, 16-8 or 5-2 and all of these different ways.
What is it? Yeah.
It's just about constraining when you eat. So the most common thing that people are doing is they're skipping breakfast, and that is creating a narrower window to eat. Yeah. And it works for some people, and it works for some personality types. Okay. So some people skip breakfast, and it's cutting out, to be honest with you, the biggest thing that it's cutting out is snacking in the evening. Like, people are not sitting down watching the telly, eating a half a pack of Hobnobs. Yeah. Or they're not going for the bowl of cereal after they've had their dinner. You know, so it's all that it does really. Like, there's no magic. It's just that it's narrowing the eating window.
But we heard that, like, if you skip breakfast, you know, most important meal of the day, all this kind of thing.
Is it actually the most important meal of the day?
So I suppose to go back to intermittent fasting, it's not something that I recommend. It does work for some people. Like, there's people who have very busy lives, or people who are on shift work, or just the way that their lives are set up. It makes it easier just to eat that way, and it stops them from snacking in the evening. And like, I don't really have a problem with that as long as they're getting all their nutrients during the day, or during that, you know, that 8-hour period when they're supposed to be eating. Breakfast is a funny one. Like, there's elite athletes, Olympic athletes, who will go and train in the morning who don't eat anything
before training.
You know, the type of training that they do, they wouldn't be able to eat. It would mean that they'd have to be up at 4:00 in the morning in order to eat, in order to train. So they'll do a certain amount of training. It could be like a 5 or 8K run, but the nutrition is not really impacting that run because of the intensity. So it's all about the intensity that you're training. I wouldn't recommend it now before training in a GA match or GA. You know, that's a completely. You do need to be fueled for that.
Well, now, in fairness, I don't eat before the GA matches because the jerseys are getting so tight nowadays that I need every fucking advantage I can get to try and fit into the bloody thing.
And that's not like if you wake up in the morning and you go training without eating, you're burning fat instead of burning carbs or something.
So that's a little bit of a myth. What happens is, for a short period of time, you are burning more fat, but that doesn't mean that. So if you eat the same amount of food, but
for 24 hours,
for over 24 hours, you're still in exactly the same place whether you have breakfast before or after your training session. Okay. So during that session, yes, the fuel or the energy that you're using is more from fat.
Okay.
I'll tell you the truth, lads. You're asking really good questions, but like they're complicated. Yeah. Like, I'd love to be just saying yes or no, but it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No.
Here's another really tough question. Yeah. Are you a big meat eater?
I am. Grandparents were dairy farmers. I am a sheep farmer, and we've cattle and stuff at home. So I would be reared on meat. But I have, I suppose, changed my behaviour to improve the variety in my diet. Okay. So there's a day where I'll eat a vegetarian type of a way. There's a day where I'll eat fish. And then on 3 or 4 other days, I will eat meat. But it's more in line with what the recommendations are now about how we should approach our diet.
Yeah, I think Irish people are big meat eaters.
They are big eaters.
I think particularly the older generation, in, you know what I mean, like, say our parents, that would be like big lump of meat, fucking spuds. Bit of veg, and people are regimental in that, like.
I think young people are worse. Some people are very aware to it, and then a lot of young people now are like, sausages, just meat, like, and sandwiches.
I think when there was that kind of, when the real gym boom, when everyone was into kind of looking after their bodies in Ireland, I think lads were just like, give me all the meat, like, give me everything
Chicken
to make
fillets.
me fucking massive, like.
Well, I suppose you asked about intermittent fasting there. One of the things that came in, I suppose about 12 years ago now, was paleo eating, or and like.
Could you just explain to people what that is if they don't know?
Of course, yeah. So paleo was, the idea was that you ate like prehistoric man, that you ate.
Or a lad from Offaly.
A fella that eats, whatever he can get his hands on. If he was out hunting, this is pre-agriculture. So where we were farming and where we were. It was like you go and
foraging,
caveman job.
Yeah.
So this just means like food that hasn't been heavily processed.
Exactly.
So like fillets of chicken or steak, full veg, nuts, fruits.
Exactly. So
that sounds good. I guess.
No, it is good. But what I suppose what started to happen was people became over focused on just meat. So you'd see lads going into the deli counters and just ordering packs of meat, and just that's what they're eating. They wouldn't even eat the bread. So it just, like, what it did was it gave people another extreme thing to be associated with.
Yeah.
And like, in the world we live in, we're just fascinated by the new thing, the novelty, something that's fresh. And like you talking there about, nuts and seeds and meat and fish, and that, unfortunately, it bores people. Yeah. People are just can you give me the pill? Can you give me the next thing? Like, what's your label?
Magic. I want to be fabulous now.
Yeah, I think
give me the thing.
Give me the thing.
That is, anyone they'll try fucking everything now.
Yeah,
for quick results. Like, listen, I know I've tried every diet out there. Like,
fuck hard work.
Yeah,
just give me the thing now.
Yeah.
Where's the magic?
Like, just sorry, just to jump on, but like, I remember one time I'd done a shake diet. One of these, like, so it was actually fruit and veg and stuff, but you like mulched it all up and obviously drank it. And I'd done this for like 5 days, lost a heap of weight, but like a week later I had to put it back on. So like,
so that's exactly the thing that I try and help people understand, is that was a very short-term approach, and like, people don't really like talking about sustainability, and they don't like to talk about, well, what is it going to be like in 6 months' time or a year? They want to go, okay, no, I've got a wedding coming up, or
exactly it for me. Yes.
Well, it might have been, well, we've got a beach holiday, I'm going to be with the lads by the pool, I want to be cut, or I want to be ripped to pieces.
Yeah.
So like a much greater, it doesn't sound sexy or interesting at all, but a much greater or more powerful or beneficial way of approaching it would be, how am I going to look in 2 years' time?
Okay.
5 years' time? What am I going to do? And is my skills going to be better? Am I going to be eating better food? What's my mindset and relationship with food going to look like? And if you can have a little bit more of that type of approach, then overall you're on a much better path. So what you did is, it very often it can be counterproductive, and people go on these yo-yo diets and they lose a bit of weight, and then 6 weeks later they're heavier than they were when they started.
Shit, man.
I know.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Can we? A lot of our listeners here are playing sport. A lot of lads playing GAN, soccer, and rugby.
Yeah.
Would you talk us through? You've got a match. What should they eat on the day, before a game, after a game?
So one of the most important things for an athlete to think about is how they prepare for a game, and the best athletes are focused on their preparation. They're thinking a week out. What am I going to have 2 days before, the day before, and then what am I going to have the morning of? That, like, the thing that you really don't want to do is narrow too much in on what happens directly before, because if you narrow in there, you've actually, it's almost like you've missed too many elements of preparation. So 36 hours, 48 hours out, you're starting to prepare, you're starting to make sure you're hydrated, a good bowl of porridge the day beforehand, or muesli, or granola with fruit.
That's the day before. Like, is that really going to affect you
the day
in the match the next day?
That's when that's where the energy is coming from.
The day before.
The day before. It's what you've fueled up with. So you think about it, a lad that is in college, and like He's eating the fry in the morning, the day before. He's not really thinking about it. He might go and he might get that chicken fillet roll. He's not exactly preparing his body for peak performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the day before is like your critical preparation day. Get that right, and you're putting yourself in a really good position, particularly if it's a midday game. Like, let's say it's 1 or 2 o'clock. It's very, very difficult to get enough fuel on board if you start fueling the day of a game.
Okay, yeah. So if your game is like 2 o'clock Sunday, what's your eating for that day?
So
say?
just I'll run through a really simple plan. So you get up in the morning, you have granola and fruit and yogurt, or you have porridge for breakfast.
No protein in that now.
So 70% of the calories or energy you're looking for is carbs. Okay. That's really where the focus is on game day. Low fiber, and very often you get lads that are on the bowl, you know, like you have to do 4 shits before they even go out. And even at half time.
I should have time.
And people getting sick and everything. It's just
beat the fuck.
Yeah, come on. Has that never happened to you?
I never had a shot at half time.
Never.
Should I?
No.
Should I be shouting at half time in a game?
I don't know.
Really?
I remember one time holding it for a whole half.
Why?
Because I was out on the field, so I hadn't time to go back in
Okay.
beforehand. But yeah, I got it at half time. Sorry to be.
How did that work?
Look,
Did you win?
Second half, he hurled all around him.
I didn't run for the first half. Sorry, Dan.
Okay,
Daniel,
so
go try.
breakfast-
Hold on now. I actually just want to take just for 15 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
You're actually talking about exactly the type of issues that I'm looking to avoid.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
You ate too much food on game day, too close to your game.
Yeah.
Like, that is an absolutely beautiful example of what not to do.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you do your preparation on the day before, eat light. You don't need to eat much then on game day. Your stomach is empty. You're fueled. You're ready to go. You're feeling light in your feet.
Yeah.
You're ready for game, like the match of the like the best game that you're going to play. Like, you're really, really well prepared. I remember one day I went out before a game. Like, this is years ago. No idea about nutrition, and you're asking me about like having a shot at half time. I drank like 2 cans of Red Bull along with my breakfast before a game. Well,
Coming out of your eyeballs.
God, I got to half time, and like it was the fastest sprint of the day was to the Jacks. But that's what can happen, you know. People trying these energy drinks before games. Stay away. It's not. It can cause an absolute mess.
Pre-workout, all this stuff.
Just stay away from it. Let's go back to game.
Yes.
The day before, make sure you have carbohydrate-based breakfast, maybe some fruit and yogurt, or a smoothie, or fruit juice, or something like that. A granola bar as a snack. You could have a baked potato, or a bit of pasta, or a rice dish at lunchtime. Afternoon, you could have something like some pittas and chicken, or a brown bread sandwich, glass of apple juice. And then the evening, you can have your larger carbohydrate dinner type meal. That can be a shepherd's pie, it can be a pasta dish, it can be a chicken rice again.
Yeah.
But you've got 5 or 6 carbohydrate based meals.
This is the day before.
This is the day before.
Okay.
Game day, light again. It can be something like pancakes and banana. So pancakes are very popular. A good friend of mine, Sean O'Brien, would have creamed rice before a game. Like, that would be his pre-match meal. It's 80% carbohydrate. It's very easy to digest. It could be a bit of scrambled eggs and a couple of slices of brown bread, or even you were asked about earlier about white bread. Game day, you could use something like a couple of slices of white bread with scrambled eggs, and there you've got a really, really good preparation plan. And 3 hours, 4 hours out from the game, you really don't want to have that. Like, that's your last meal, and then you're ready. You can have a couple of jellies or Jaffa cakes, and you're away.
Yeah, there's a lad in our club is mad. Jellies, biscuits before a game, half time in a game. What is that? Just sugar, or
That's sugar.
any good?
To be honest with you, like, the majority, you're talking about 95% of your fueling being done by your pre-match meal.
Yeah.
So most of that stuff is psychological after that.
Okay.
Jelly babies for the mind.
Jelly babies for the mind. Exactly.
I'm going to say that to him now next time we're talking about him.
Yeah.
Like, lad, it's all up here for
It's
you.
all in your head,
Put
yeah.
down the jelly baby.
Okay.
The next question I had was, you just touched on it there very briefly. Pre-workout shakes.
Yeah.
You see, I'm always looking for like anything that will probably tell me I'm fitter than I actually am. So like, I've taken pre-workouts, I've taken the amino energy stuff, I've tried the Red Bull. There's not much I haven't tried before a game.
Yeah. Monster.
Yeah, Monster, everything. The zero Monster then, because you're saying to yourself, there's no sugar in that. Yeah, right. What should I be drinking? Is it water, or like, does this stuff work? Should I be having this before a match? Is it actually dangerous? Some people have said it's dangerous.
Okay, so I would take like every single thing I'd approach is straight down the middle. Try and go, right, well, what does the science say? That's what you everything is based on science. What you get in any of those drinks is caffeine at different levels. Okay. It's a stimulant. And a stimulant like it's mainly caffeine that's giving you that feeling of energy. And caffeine has been shown to improve performance. It used to be on the banned substance list.
Wow.
Okay?
Right.
Now, the form of caffeine that you take does matter. And the safest way to approach it is something where it can be really carefully measured. Okay, so coffees and drinks like what we're talking about can have really varying levels of caffeine and stimulant in them. So what athletes tend to do is use a caffeine gum or a caffeine tablet or caffeine powder in a sports drink, but it's really controlled.
Okay.
So the pre-workout drinks have the potential to improve performance, but to be honest with you, will offer next to no benefit in performance if you are not fit or you're not properly fueled or you're not hydrated. So let's say you have no work done.
Yeah.
Like the best example is you've got no real fueling done, or you haven't got good preparation. That, I mean, again, you're pissing against the wind.
Because I took some sort of pre-workout thing a guy gave me before a match once at home, and it was the greatest match of my life. I was taking frees. I was at the other end catching him. I was fucking everywhere. A week later, we were playing championship, and I took it again, and I cramped up in the warm-up. I had cotton mouth. I was water. I was crawling like I was shite.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
So like, we are an unbelievably sensitive. Like humans are really, really sensitive. We're animals that can be impacted by anything, stress, and in that particular situation, your stress response was much higher in preparation for that game. Okay. The games what you're looking to do is have really consistent preparation so that when you step on the field, all of the variables are controlled as best you can.
Okay.
But when you use something like a caffeine stimulant, it can create anxiety, it can create higher levels of stress hormones, it can affect, like, it can give you the shakes, and you had a major stress response which dried out your mouth. So all of these things, so that was counterproductive.
Yeah.
So
was that in my head?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Like that. The best way, in really simple terms, that drink can kind of just push you a little bit further into a greater stress response than you could have managed.
Okay.
So there's caffeine responders and non-responders.
Yeah,
There's people who respond to this stuff and people who don't. There's people who can drink coffee before they go to bed at night, and there's other people who can't.
What about having a coffee before going training?
You can do that. It's a much safer way to do it.
And you probably won't cramp up.
No, you won't.
I cramped up the time I took Pro Plus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, trying fucking different things
Shortcuts,
to find the magic, and that night then I went to the pub, and obviously, like, I just had my first drink, like GA players do. It's like, let's go and get completely dehydrated to the pub, and I actually fell off the stool. My two legs went into spasm, two hamstring
inside in the pub after the game.
and like I was like, I'm never taking them again. Would it have been something like that? Would it have been caffeine or what?
Unlikely.
Just a bad lifestyle.
No, like all of these things, like they're all different variables, and exercise and high intensity exercise causes a greater level of fatigue. What caffeine does is it impacts how you perceive the fatigue, which often allows you to push a little bit harder.
Okay.
So you're pushing a little bit harder, but you're not actually conditioned to do so.
Yeah.
So your body is then going, what did you put me through? You know, and that, so it's massive. Like the spasm, your muscles are contracting because they're over fatigued, and in that way, so it's not directly from the caffeine, but it's almost like you've pushed yourself beyond your limitations.